What do Americans think is normal, but is actually very weird? For some reason, their advertising system, like dude, it's seriously not okay to show me ads of medicine for me to recommend my doctor to prescribe it to me. Also, TF is your problem with ads right after a show's introduction. I know, right? Before Netflix and such came along, it took twice as long to watch a movie when it aired on TV because there was literally as much ad time as content time. Boggled my mind. A 2-hour movie gets edited down to 1 HR 40 minutes, but takes 3 hours to finish. Your bloody weird toilet cubicles. Why is there such a big gap? Why does everyone need to be able to see me while I'm doing a number 2? Why can't they have full-length doors like the rest of the world? I have a form of dwarfism and I cannot stand this. Growing up, I was used to children following me in the restroom to stare through that enormous crack. And who decides the length on the stall walls? The worst is when the bottom of the stall is floating mid-air. Occasionally it's built all the way up to my hip. Don't even get me started on the bizarrely fashioned sinks that no children are capable of washing their hands on their own unless your arms reach a certain length. My siblings and family and friends would wet a paper towel for me with soap, one with water, and one dry one everywhere we went, plus hand sanitizer, because being SHORT equals using my hands to climb up onto everything. Traveling around different parts of the world outside of America made me see different cultures really make it a point to make using their restroom a part of the hospitality of everywhere I've visited. However, us is number 1 in handicap accessible restrooms that are private and usually have smaller and shorter sinks, and or will offer stools if you ask. Will offer stools if you ask. No thanks. I'll be making my own. Apostrophe. Being interested in college sports. I know nowhere else where a school's sports team is of national interest. They're basically our lower tier leagues. Most of our popular modern sports evolved out of college sports in the first place. Football was literally invented as a college sport. Might not be an American thing. Might be a Californian thing. Might even be a non-European thing. But seriously, do you need that water level in your toilet bowls? Us Brits are not used to the cannonball effect when we go about our dark business. It's because it's a 100% different flushing mechanism. European toilets dump water from the cistern into the bowl to wash the contents away. American toilets dump the water from the cistern down a pipe at the back, and the force sucks the contents out of the bowl. The American mechanism is far more vulnerable to clogging and uses more water to flush, but covers smells better, is quieter and is less susceptible to having shit stains on the bowl. Hence why a plunger next to a toilet is a common image in American media, while it's normally a toilet brush elsewhere. Thank you for this useless knowledge. I felt it being burned onto my brain as I read it, and now I know it will be there for life. Price tags at the grocery that leave tax off. As an American, I've trained myself to look at a $9.99 item and say, oh, that's $10.89. The sales tax, where I live, is 9%. Close bracket. Yeah, I just round everything up to the nearest dollar. Usually keeps my fairly close end total. It is obnoxious though. Astronomical portion sizes. I went to an IHOP once, and the omelette was crazy huge and even the coffee cup was 2x as big as normal. Food is cheap. Overhead is not. The patron doesn't complain about a $12 omelette when it is massive. The addition foodstuffs only cost like $0.30. Can I ask? Do Americans actually make tea by putting the cup in a microwave? Since I got so many replies I can't read them all, but I have learnt many people use a microwave because it's quicker, but only some people use a kettle. But people seem to think a kettle is only used for tea, which I find a bit weird, since I use a kettle to cook instant noodles quicker or to make a cup of soup or to make gravy. But how do Americans make coffee if they don't have a kettle? Many do. This is probably because American electrical systems deliver less voltage to appliances, so our electric kettles take longer to boil than British electric kettles. We also don't drink as much tea in general, so a lot of homes like to have an occasional cup of tea, but don't own a stovetop or electric kettle. I drink a shitload of tea, so I own an electric kettle, but I have to put the water in thermoses to keep it hot enough to brew tea because fuck, having to wait 5 minutes every time I want a cup. Even at 110V 5 minutes is much too long. You shouldn't have to wait more than 5 minutes with a decent kettle for a large cup's worth of water. Are you cooking more water than needed? That will slow it down. Calculating whether or not to go to the hospital based on the likelihood that you'll die. I remember hiking with a friend one time and a helicopter landed in the mountain right where our trail was ending. I told her if I broke my leg or sustained any serious injury, I'd scoot down the mountain on my butt and suffer rather than get a helicopter or even ambulance called. I'd be bankrupt. Had a friend with appendicitis that had to be airlifted out of where he worked in remote Alaska and the bill was $80. 000. Tip-based economics edit. Wow. Biggest numbers my posts ever got. From what I've seen, the biggest advocates for tipping are the servers while everyone else, including foreign serving staff, are against it. I suppose to expand further, I make more money on minimum wage than us servers do, and I don't depend on my customers being generous or wealthy to keep bread on the table. So right now is a prime example. Everyone is screwed because no one feels they have the capital to blow on tips. Servers, are you still making bank? Or making sacrifices? Honest question. I'm in Australia, not Europe. We've never had or cared about tipping. Our dollar has almost always weaker than every other major trading power. I'm not a money guru, but I feel like tipping isn't a recession-proof salary structure real, so I feel that it's the business's job to pay the staff and the customer's job to pay for the service and related expenses, including staff ratus. Also, I hope everyone is healthy and not turning crazy from cabin fever. Good luck. Just pay your employees. Yeah, and then a tip is actually a tip and not a necessity to supplement your salary. That liberal means left wing, whereas in the rest of the world it means someone who believes in personal liberty and freedom. I know, right? It literally means pro-liberty. Political views aside, the left is more about more equality at the price of some freedoms, while the right is about more freedom at the price of some equality. It's just social liberalism vs economical liberalism. Conservatives tend to want more freedom with their businesses, but less personal freedom around family structures / sex / religion. Libs are the opposite. Feel-good news stories about how a community worked together to help a family pay for a child's life-saving treatment. Sounds great at first, until you realize that this is literally a family begging people for enough money just to survive. Most Americans don't know credit score is unique to their country, and that their economy encouraged people to live in debt in order to build a credit score, while a lot of other countries' population have savings and don't use credit to buy anything else than a house or a car. I do think banks are winning this trade by making huge interest rate, and that it also pushed people to consume more than they should or could, which is necessary for capitalism. In a way, when you consider what you can get or not depending only on your credit score, there is a comparison to make with the infamous social credit score used in China. You know what pisses me off even more? These credit companies, Equifax and TransUnion mostly, have all my personal details and history, and there's nothing I can do about that. The only way to not exist in their book is to be off the grid, which would just make it easier for someone else to steal your identity. Oh, and if someone pretends to be you, and a bank lends them money, somehow it's your problem. Dealing with this right now. Someone took my information, but I'm the one who has to jump through hoops to fix it. Ridiculous. A massive class of almost slaves that are technically illegal, but very deliberately ignored by authorities so they can be exploited for cheap labor. That and the fact that they call you racist if you so much as point out how fucked that system is. Almost slaves is generous. Every year in California we have wildfires with smoke so thick and toxic that school gets cancelled. Most employers willingly let outdoor employees go home or work inside, except for the undocumented farm workers. They'll be outside picking strawberries in the smoke. It's always hot, dry, windy AF, and if they're lucky enough to have an N95 it's because they brought it from home. Lord knows the farm doesn't give them anything but grief for not picking fast enough. Even the liberal states don't actually give a shit. Right now there are tons of gardeners construction workers, and contractors working even in my neighborhood despite COVID. And if you're undocumented, you have no health insurance. It sucks. Edit to I'd never seen, up close, anything like the sheer amount of exploited labor you see on strawberry farms until I lived in Circa. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.